Hello everyone and welcome back to another Wizard101 video. Today I'm going to be doing the flip side of what I did yesterday. Yesterday I did my top 5 least favorite quest lines in the game. Today I'm doing my top 5 favorite quest lines in the game. You know, I always like to hit more negative videos with a more positive video on the next day, just because I feel like, you know, it balances it out. If I just ragged on the game constantly, it wouldn't be fun to watch, at least in my opinion it wouldn't be. So today I'm going over that. Last video, most of my choices were from Arc 2, I noticed. I had like 1 in Celestia, 2 in Azteca, 1 in Chrysalis, so that's like 4 out of 5 were in Arc 2. Today, I'm going to kind of spread that out, because there's definitely a lot more quest lines for me that are my favorite spread out, because I think Arc 2 genuinely is the worst arc, in my opinion. That's why I'd say a vast majority of my least favorite quest lines are in Arc 2, but for my favorites, it's a lot more spread out. So without further ado, enough rambling, let's actually get into the video. So starting off with our first quest line in Marleybone. Now I could have picked quite a few quest lines because I do love Marleybone, like Kassenstein is a really cool quest line as well, but ultimately I decided to go for the Baxter quest line because I think it is a little bit more iconic and I remember it from my childhood a lot more. We get sent to Digmore Station into the streets because basically the streets are absolutely running rampant with crime and we are sent to stop it. And specifically, we're told from the people here, like, what's her name? Miss Conrail, I believe. Basically, we're told that we need to talk to Baxter because Baxter is kind of our inside informant and he can kind of get us in and actually get us the information we need. So we need to actually find him. But surprise, surprise, he's actually, you know, kidnapped. The first time we try to find him here in Hyde Park, he's kidnapped by the Gearhead over here. Then next, we ultimately find him in Chelsea Tower, and then we help him in the Ironworks. I think it's always one of the most iconic of the quest lines in Marleybone, just that helping Baxter, freeing him, and then ultimately using his help to take down Pops O'Leary in the Ironworks. Always really cool, and I do kind of like to see us be like crime fighters and, you know, fix the streets running rampant in Marleybone. I always thought that was really cool as a kid, and I think it's cool now. So I would say this is ultimately one of my favorite quest lines in the game. Alright, next on our list is probably going to surprise people for so many reasons, whether it be because people usually dislike Mushu, or it be because people dislike this street. But I think one of my favorite quest lines in Mushu is actually specifically in Kishibe Village. I think Kishibe is how you pronounce it? I don't know. As a kid, I said Kishibe, which definitely isn't right. I always loved this street as a kid. I think genuinely it is one of the best streets in Mushu in regard to the quest line, because I always thought that the story was really cool. So we need to basically visit these shrines to kind of restore our body and kind of become blessed almost to actually like beat the warlord of this section, Shoshan Village. But the problem is that one, this area is like ravaged by the warlords. 2, the fact that the shrines are kind of run down. So Tulak Quo here helps you. First, you go to the Shrine of the Mind, and you kind of go like, wow, mind, that's cool. Then you need to go to the Shrine of the Body, but like the guy is gone, but you eventually rescue him, all that. And then finally, and this is my favorite part of the quest line, is the Shrine of the Spirit. Now, if you don't remember this, basically there's this guy named Sesshu Nidoki, and he's a pretty cool dude. He's a samurai. And we go into the Shrine of the Spirit, and there's no one there, and we're like, uh-oh. So we go visit this guy, and we're like, hey, you know where he is? And he's like, no idea. He's probably gone with the warlord invasion, and we're like, okay. Tulak Quo is like, okay, but what if Sesshu... Wait, what the heck? Fun fact, I just discovered a little bit of a secret, is that he's here called Sesshu Nidaki. Here he's called Sesshu Nidoki. That's just a fun little thing. But let me continue on. Basically, he's not convinced that he can become the guardian of the shrine, so you need to convince him. First, you do that by, like, asking for a sword for a villager, and he goes, oh, there's probably some in the warehouse down the street, or the armory down the street. You go there, there isn't one, and then, or there's like a rusted one, and you take it back to him, and he's like, no, 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 that won't do. Here, I'll use the rusted one, and then he uses the good one, and then we do that, and Tulak Quo's like, wow, that's kind of a dude, you know, a dude who is good in spirit, And ultimately, we convince him, like, yes, you can actually go to the Shrine of Spirit and help us. I always thought that it was just a really, like, cool quest line as a kid, because I thought it was really fun, you know, to actually see him be like, okay, I couldn't do it, and then he proves himself worthy, almost, you know, which is really cool, and I do really like that. So I think this is probably my favorite quest line in Mushu, and one of my top 5 favorite quest lines in the game. For the third quest line on our list, I ultimately decided to just include all of Aquila. Now, the reason why I consider this a quest line and, like, not really an area or a world is the fact that realistically, the entire world's length is the length of a quest line, like it's 3 dungeons long, and I think that really I can safely say it's one of my favorite quest lines. Like, I think the idea of the Immortals challenging us directly, or technically us challenging the Immortals, but we're invited to the Immortal games. Basically, us challenging the Immortals and defeating them ultimately and getting their, like, really good gear and all that stuff has always just been, like, a really cool idea for me. And I think that each of the dungeons is unique. Each of them has, like, a different cheat for them, and they have varying levels of difficulty, and I always, like, really enjoyed that. I think genuinely Aquila is one of my favorite quest lines in this game. I think they did it really well, and I hope that in the future they'd ultimately decide to expand on the world, because I think that this world could be even better than it already is if the quest line was just expanded upon. But that doesn't stop it, as I said, from being, without a doubt, one of my favorite quest lines in this game. I can say that hands down. Next up, we have, without a doubt, this has to be, like, my favorite quest line in the game. I'm going in the order of the world still, which ultimately I probably shouldn't have done, but that's okay. I will say, though, this is hands down my favorite quest line in the game, and that is the last little part of Avalon here. Now, what I'm talking about specifically is in the crystal caves, when you have to kind of light the fires and then you go into what is called Ghost Avalon. Now, before that's also cool as well, because basically you talk to the different statues, you kind of learn the past, and then in Ghost Avalon, which is one of my favorite dungeons in this game, you kind of go into the past as Gamma and learn about Morganth, and you learn about King Artorias, Morganth's plans for King Artorias, and then Merlambros. Overall, without a doubt, it's just one of my favorite quest lines in this game, and I thought it was such a cool and interesting way to understand the past of kind of Morganth and learn how she got to where she was, that I genuinely think it is one of the best quest lines in this game. I don't know entirely how many people will agree with me here, but, like, this Ghost Avalon, just that entire area, is so cool. Like, it's cool in design, it's cool in quest line. Ultimately, it's just one of my favorites, so I can't gush more about it than I already have. For the final quest line, I knew that I was gonna have to pick something from Polaris, because I think Polaris is without a doubt one of my favorite worlds. So ultimately, I decided to pick this first section, the first quest line, with overthrowing the Imperials here and liberating the Penguinians, whatever, Penguinians. I think one of the coolest things is, like, meeting Red Rosa and her being like, okay, we need your help. And we ultimately decide to help, and she's like, okay, storm this prison, save Danton, and you do that, which again is one of my favorites. I think it's really cool, like the whole prison break thing. And then from there, we help Danton actually, you know, do his revolution and liberate Walrusburg from the bears and Empress Mary Antisket, which I just genuinely think this is another one of the coolest quest lines in this game, and it's such a good introduction to Arc 3. Like, if I had to say why this is one of my favorite quest lines, after Arc 2 and after Morganth, they needed a way to kind of bring us back into the game, capture our attention for Arc 3, and I think this beginning quest line did it extremely well for a lot of people, and definitely for me, like, who pays attention to the story. I think it was so cool to immediately, like, we go in swinging. We go into Polaris. From Polaris, we kind of get roped into this revolution. We help them storm a prison, and then we help them overthrow a corrupt empress. I just thought it was one of my favorite ways to introduce the world, and it really set the tone of Arc 3 and how I think Arc 3 is probably the best arc in this game. So, that's it for today. That's my top 5 favorite quest lines. Let me know what you think. What are your top 5 favorite quest lines in this game? I am curious. Or maybe your favorite quest line. If you don't want to go into a top 5, that's fine with me as well. But that's it. Otherwise, make sure to drop a like, hit the sub button, go support me financially on Patreon if you wish, and go join my Discord server. Thank you all for watching. I will see you in the next video. Adios.